Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we are continuing work on the front axle rebuild of our Cub Cadet original and hopefully getting it finished today. So in the last video we were doing some machining of the front axle in these holes where the stub axles fit, and then after boring those out we fitted some new bronze bushings in there using an adjustable reamer to open those up to the correct size for the stub axle, because when you push the bushings into these they compress slightly. So we had to do some tweaking off camera since the last video to get the stub axle to fit nicely, but as you can see that turns in there very nicely. There's no high spots or anything, and there's no movement in any axes that we've introduced from opening that up, so that is good. We've also fitted a 1/32 of an inch thrust washer underneath there, which means that there's no up and down movement on there either, so that's good, and we've managed to eliminate all of that movement, as I said before, without adding any unnecessary friction or anything to the system as well, so that is good. Same has been done on the other side, and also in the last video we cleaned up all of the pivots in the centre there and refitted it with a new spring washer, and that gets us to where we are today. Now today we'll be moving on to drilling out the old steel wheel bushings and fitting bronze bushings inside of these. Then we can refit these into the wheels, and that should remove the kind of pivoting play on the wheels. Once we've done that, we'll use some more thrust washers to sort out the spacing issues so that the wheels aren't moving side to side on the stub axles here. And after that, we'll move on to sorting out the wear in these steering rods. But before we get into that, I thought we'd answer a couple of questions from one of our previous videos' comment sections. So firstly, we'll talk about the grease point for the front axle, which, first point, it does have one, but it is very well positioned, so I'm not sure how well or how much we've shown it in previous videos, which if we go around to the other side of the tractor, I can point it out for you. It is here on the side of the pivot, but in this kind of indent in the front axle, so it's very well protected, well shielded, and it points straight out, kind of parallel with the front axle, so it's quite easy to get a grease gun on as well. Now if we compare this to some of our other tractors, like a Bushings Ride-a-matic, they have the grease point on the bottom of the front axle, which is quite difficult to actually get a grease gun on, and you have to be very careful what you're running over to make sure you don't have something hard knock into it and damage it. You also have to be careful when you're lifting the tractor up, because obviously if you want to lift the front up, you want to be lifting from the centre, and that's where the grease nipple is, so you can't be doing that on a Bushings Ride-a-matic. So Cub definitely has a better design for the grease point on the front axle than Bushings. So take 3 of this clip. The first time I forgot what I was saying, and the second time the cameraman's just been attacked by some flying thing here in the workshop. So we'll see if we get it right this time. But the other things we've been asked about are the bronze bushings that we're using, and also whether tractors of this age are meant to have bronze bushings in the front axle. Now I'll start with that second question, and the answer is some are, some aren't. For example, Bushings Ride-a-matics, they were fitted with bronze bushings in the front axles from 1961 onwards, but all of the years prior to that they weren't fitted with them, which is why if you watched our 1960 Bushings Ride-a-matic project, you will have seen us do the same thing that we did on this Cub Cadet, where we milled out the front axle to a larger diameter and then pressed in these bushings here, which are 7/8 inside diameter, 1 inch outside diameter, and 3/4 long, which is what that part number 1416-12 correlates to. Now obviously if you're looking to do this at home, you may well be getting from a different supplier, especially if you're in America, so the part number will be different. But a lot of these parts suppliers will have some sort of chart where you can put in your dimensions or look for your dimensions that you need. and that'll give you the part number that you need to get. We've got a very handy chart for these bushings because we always get them from the same people pretty much, which we have a very good supplier for those. And they are oil light bushings, which means they are impregnated with SAE 30 oil, so they're self-lubricating as well. And we put 2 of those ones in here. And just a kind of side note, we keep a maintenance log for all of our tractors, so with a date of what jobs have been done, what parts were used for them, that sort of thing. So if for whatever reason in future we sell this tractor, we can give that maintenance log to the new owner and they'll have an easier time of finding parts for this tractor and they'll know what's been done to it. Would be nice if we had that for some of our tractors when we bought them, but that's what we're doing with our tractors and projects now. So that part number gets noted down, as well as the supplier. And the bushings that we're going to be using today are these AI 1416-20s, which those are 1.25 inches long, but the same inside and outside diameter as the ones we used in the front axle. These will be going in these wheel bushings, and as you can see, they are actually slightly longer than the standard steel bushing. We couldn't find any of the exact length of this because this seems to be a weird size. Not sure what's going on with that, but we could only go smaller or larger, and obviously it's better to go for a longer bushing on here so that it sticks out slightly. We can always cut it down if that causes any issue with grease being pumped into the space between the wheel and the stub axle here. But it's better to go longer and have excess material than going for a shorter bushing that doesn't actually have the same size contact surface or has a smaller contact surface than the original bushing, so that'll cause more wear, or it'll wear quicker because obviously the weight is distributed over a smaller surface. Whereas with these longer ones, should actually be resting on more of the stub axle or on an unworn part of the stub axle, so that should remove any wear as well. But when we were doing the milling before, we were using our Cincinnati mill. Today, to enlarge these steel wheel bushings, we'll actually be using our Colchester Master lathe. So we will get that set up now. We're using the same 1-inch Morse taper drill just in the tailstock of the lathe. We'll get this all set up now and we can get to work. We have one of our steel bushings in the lathe chuck now, and we have actually spun that up to make sure it's all straight. That is all good. We're very careful to make sure that that grease slot wasn't in one of the chuck jaws, because that might make it sit unevenly. So we avoided that possible error there. And this is all ready now to start cutting. So I'll just put some cutting oil on everything. There we are. Get this out of the way. And let's get going. That is the first bushing drilled out there. Obviously we need to clean everything here up, but the cut itself looks quite clean. We actually found a faster feed rate for the drill made a nicer cut, or it felt nicer as we were cutting. And if I just put one of our bushings in here, you can see it goes in there, but it's a nice interference fit, not too loose, not too tight. Try to pull that out of there. What we'll do now is we'll take this out of the chuck. We will repeat the process with the other 3 steel bushings so that we can production line this, and then we'll move on to the next step. We've now drilled out all of the steel bushings, and we've got 2 tighter ones, 2 looser ones. This is one of the tighter ones here, which we've just started off the bronze bushing into just by pushing it in gently, slightly on the her. So hopefully the press will correct that as we're pushing it in. If not, then we'll have to take it out and correct it ourselves. Now we'll be pushing these into this 1-inch AF socket so that the bushing can stick out of the bottom. And this is our press tool, probably our most used press tool, so that was a good investment making that. A few years ago when we would have first done a job like this. If I line all of that up here and just bring the press down onto it. There we are. And we can finish pressing this in. That seems fairly happy going in, so that's good. And there we are. Now, is that bushing pressed in? We'll now repeat that on the other bushings. We have all of the bronze bushes fitted now. And as you can see, we've got 2 of the wheel bushings, complete wheel bushing setups on this stub axle here, which we've been using a bit of hydraulic oil, seeing as that's nice and slippery, to help us get the inside diameter right using this adjustable reamer, which goes up to 7/8 diameter, which is handy because these are meant to be 7/8 inside diameter, so that just shows that either these are on the smaller diameter side of the production tolerance, or that they have been compressed inside of these steel bushings. Either way, we had to take off some material, but they now fit quite nicely on there. So we will take one of these off now. We've got the wheel sat here, and this is the outside, which means it has the grease nipple and the valve. So we do need to line up this slot part here with the grease nipple itself. That should be somewhere there. Yeah, there I'm going to say. I'll just gently give this a tap with the hide hammer. So I'm just stopping to make sure that everything still looks lined up. It does. We may have to put this in the hydraulic press to do a little bit of this. And then once we've got this one in, we can flip it over, push the other bushing on, and then we'll have to check whether this still rotates nicely on the stub axle. And then it's time for the other side. A long time later now, and we finally have these wheels all fitted up. Spent absolutely ages with our adjustable reamer, opening up those bushings so that they sit nicely on the stub axles and the wheels turn nicely as well. But that took quite a while, and I'll just demonstrate. You can see that there isn't any side-to-side movement now, because we also put in a 1/32 thrust washer on either side of the wheel, so yeah, that doesn't move, so that's good, or at least it doesn't move backwards and forwards that way. So that's that wear taken out of this part. And the last thing we need to do now is to replace the track rod ends on the steering rods. This is the one that goes between the 2 stub axles, and we were really struggling with these because our replacement track rod ends are different to the ones that are on there by the looks of it, in more ways than one. But the main thing we were looking at when we were comparing these is the measurement from the end there to the midpoint of this threaded part, which looks to be almost the same, if not the same, but we couldn't be absolutely certain. So what we've done is we've laid the rod on the desk here, made sure that this was at right angles, and then put a pin in the desk, did the same at the other side, at the other end, and so when that is fully up against that, that is at a right angle. And what we probably ought to have done was measure the tracking before we took it off the tractor, but we'll have to do this for now. What we're going to do is we'll take the track rod ends off each side, replace them with these new ones, put them back on the table, and see whether they actually match the dimensions of the old ones. If not, then we can just tweak the tracking further by fitting the rod onto the tractor and measuring the front and back of the wheels. Now, there's not really much we can show you here, so we'll just switch these over and come back to you, and we'll see whether these, just swapping them for the old ones, does the job. So we got a little bit carried away, and rather than just doing the rod ends on the rod that goes across between the two stub axles, we also replaced them on the one that goes back to the steering box. Now, we did actually have to let out these nuts a little bit to make the rod slightly longer with these new track rod ends, but we're happy with the tracking and everything like that. The only issue we have spotted is with this rod that goes back to the steering box, and whenever you turn left, this part scrapes on the chassis. Wasn't so much of a problem when you had the really worn rod ends, because that would just pivot right the way over and that wouldn't be causing so much damage, but it is now that they aren't worn. And the reason that scrapes on there is because this whole rod is very bent. It's kind of banana shaped, as you may be able to see there. We're not sure whether it should be bent, whether this is the right way for it to be bent, or whether it should just be a straight rod. In the manual it shows it as being straight, but there's been a couple of things in the manual that weren't quite right, so we're not inclined to fully trust that. We're going to have a look at one of our other Cub Cadets at some point. We can't go and have a look at those today, unfortunately, but when we get around to it, we will compare the steering rod setup on those, and if they appear to be a straight rod, then it's a pretty easy job just to unbolt this, straighten it out, and bolt it back up. We probably won't video it, we'll just mention it at some point in future that we have done that. But besides that bent rod, we have pretty much completed the front end rebuild now, and that's another good step forward because we have rebuilt pretty much everything we want to rebuild on this tractor now. We have actually noticed another issue, which may be another video at some point in the future. If I just steady the bench, you can see there's a bit of end float on the back axle, which means that there will probably be something flying at me. There will probably be another video on this tractor soon enough where we'll take off the wheel weights, take off the rear wheels, unbolt the axle carriers, and see what's going on inside of here, because we've never had one of these Cub back axles apart before. And hopefully there'll be somewhere where we can put a little shim in there just to take up that little movement, because I think that might have been one of the noises that we could hear when we put this up to third gear and heard a bit of clanking going along. I think part of that was the front wheels, which should now be sorted thanks to what we've done today, but also I think part of it was the back axle as well. So that'll be a future video, and that's pretty much the only other thing that we want to do to this tractor mechanically. So that is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.